Hi, back to Philosophy Pop-Up Workshop. 2 weeks later, actually more, 3 weeks, we were going to do the fourth, but my partner has been sick. I've had many things marinating, ruminating. In a way, it's probably just as well that it has been deferred, and this is our first opportunity. What I was going to say weeks ago, coming up to the 4th, I got knocked off course a bit by what happened in China on July 1st. And if people go and reference that, it was the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party in China. Since my grandfather was there in '49 when the Chinese took over and forced the Kuomintang in Taiwan, for me it's very, very personal and has an intensity that I don't think 99.9% of Americans could understand. And in a way, it's just as well that I've done a video, that it actually was delayed for other reasons. Because yes, that did give me pause and knocked me off course. However, I will get back to what in my mind, what it is all about. We had the world-class, world historical geniuses who created this, and not purely an American thing. That was marinating with the French intellectuals like Montesquieu, and incidentally, the French have just had their Bastille Day 4 days ago, and they had their independence 13 years after we had ours. I think it is absolutely critical that all Americans appreciate what the Founding Fathers were attempting and bear in mind that those were ideals. And we have not lived up to those ideals so far, but we are moving. And I would say many things on the side, how would I put it? If I parse it out, for Americans who think that it's okay to live off the sweat of another American, I beg to differ. And if you go back to Abraham Lincoln, he said something about Americans not living off the backs of other Americans. We're into a thing where we have to be utterly unified in every way. And even if we become totally unified, we may still well have an enormous problem. Bear in mind that we were dealing with totalitarian regimes who are actually becoming closer and closer while we have all our internecine conflict, which was utterly, it's hard for me to even speak about this. What happened on January 6th, it will be a shame for Americans in 200 years. One does not behave like that. And the irony is the only other time the Capitol was breached, it was by a foreign army during the War of 1812. And bear in mind, I got so upset during January and February and March, I was actually thinking, why aren't we part of the Commonwealth? Why aren't we actually part of Britain? Aussies are doing well, Canadians are doing well, Kiwis are doing well. What did we achieve? And for anybody who gets angry, I'm sorry, but I'm actually from a lot of people who fought in the Revolutionary War, unlike your ancestors, if they were even here in the U.S. I get to say that, and that's really the way that I felt for months. Maybe we should have just skipped it. Then there was no Civil War. There's no War of 1812. There's no Civil War. There's no nothing. And maybe that sounds absurdist. And believe me, I've considered how extreme that is. It's a very, very extreme. For that to be in my mind for months, that was my reaction. Why did we actually leave England? Why did we leave Britain? And, of course, that little bit of irony. The first time the Capitol was breached. And by the way, if people want to look it up, Washington, D.C., where I went to university, would have been destroyed had there not been a freak weather thing where you had tornadoes in Washington, D.C., and the British Army actually withdrew. They burned a lot of things. They didn't just go to the Capitol. Go and look. And now we can do this at what was going on that day with the weather. The weather stopped them. In any case, I'm trying to keep this, there's so many elements. These are important elements. I'm trying to bring it back to the center. To go back to the beginning. The people, the architects, the intellectual architects of this country were from one of the most brilliant manifestations, excuse me, world history. What we have now in this culture, we have all this internecine conflict. We have too many people, if I may say, or even if I may not say, who are grounded in religious doctrine, a fundamentalist religious doctrine that has no place actually in the modern world. And they are as much of a threat as the Taliban, or maybe not quite to that extent, but they're actually bringing us down, and there are tens of millions of them in this country, and they won't get vaccinated. And of course, that's not about oneself, it's beyond that. Are you going to infect other people? You may want to take the risk. We've got tens of millions of evangelical Christians in this country who are bringing the country down. And COVID shows this, but it's way beyond COVID. If people are not going to follow science, as I've said in other videos, if they're not actually going to follow science, we're doomed. And it won't be from COVID or the next coronavirus or a super bacterium necessarily. Could be from the Chinese, okay? Or others where the kids actually learn math and science all the way up. And they're all geniuses in their brains they're built to be geniuses. If Americans continue this stuff, where they walk their dogs, which is what I see on Nantucket, and eat ice cream cones, and talk about nothing, good luck to us. We will be off the planet. Other Homo sapiens will deal with this. And when the president said back in February, early on in his administration, he said that the Chinese will eat our lunch. They will do a lot more than that. That was very gentle. And by the way, I've mentioned the Chinese a couple of times, Russians. And we don't know what's going to come from Islam next. We've just abandoned Afghanistan. So, for everybody who wants to pretend that life is just an economic experience, it's what you can produce economically and what you can consume economically, good luck to you, because that has nothing to do with human history. And that's it. And yeah, I think I've gotten most of the things that have been in my mind. And all the best. And we have this magnificent culture. And it can be much, much better. We have a magnificent culture. But my goodness, we cannot destroy ourselves. We have to be unified. And even then we have a fight ahead of us. And that's it. And I'm sorry, it's not soft, gentle, 4th of July. And I wanted to do that. But then July 1st happened. So here we are. In a way, it's good because this is 2 weeks later and I'm a little bit quieter, a little calmer, not much, a little bit. And that's it. All the best.